Hey there, and welcome to a deep dive on something that's, well, it's really important for our digital lives, but not many people talk about it. Non-repudiation. And, we know you're pretty familiar with cybersecurity already, so we're going to skip the basics and just dive right in. You sent us some really interesting stuff on this, and we're here to, connect the dots, help you really understand it.
Yeah, it's like we're revealing the hidden security systems that are, protecting us every day in the online world.
Exactly. And the first thing I saw, like right off the bat, was this definition of non-repudiation. It's basically making sure that nobody online can say they didn't do something, right? Like when you send an email or sign a contract or, I don't know, even buy that old record you've been wanting online.
Yeah, that's it. It's about having proof, like undeniable proof in the digital world. You know how, like in person, if you sign a contract, you can't just back out because your signature is there? Non-repudiation is like bringing that same idea to everything we do online.
Oh, okay. So it's like a digital fingerprint that shows it was you, even if you try to say, nope, wasn't me after.
That's a great way to think about it. And this is where it gets cool. So, to get this digital fingerprint thing right, non-repudiation needs three things: proof of origin, proof of integrity, and proof of receipt.
Okay, so let's break those down. Proof of origin. I mean, that seems pretty simple, right?
It sounds simple, but it can actually be tricky to prove who really sent a message online or who started a transaction. So non-repudiation uses things like your digital signature and IP address to connect an action to, like its source.
So like if you try to say, I didn't send that email, proof of origin is there to call you out.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, then what about this proof of integrity? What is that?
Okay, imagine you're sending like a super important message, but it gets intercepted and someone changes the content. Proof of integrity is like it makes sure that what you get is exactly the same as what was sent, no changes. And that's where these things called hashing algorithms come in.
Hashing algorithms.
Mhm.
Those sound kind of complicated.
They are, but think of it this way. A hashing algorithm takes your message, whatever it is, and it creates this like unique digital fingerprint for it. And even a tiny change to the message completely changes that fingerprint.
So it's like a tamper-proof seal,
Mhm.
but for digital stuff. If the seal's broken, you know something's up.
Exactly. It's a really clever way to be sure that nobody messed with the data along the way. And then the last piece we need is proof of receipt.
And this one seems pretty important, especially with online agreements and when you're, paying for things.
Right. Proof of receipt just confirms that the person you sent the message or transaction to actually received it. Because it's not enough to just send something, you need to know for sure that it actually got there.
So it's kind of like that notification you get when, like, Amazon delivers your package, but for all kinds of digital stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
This is pretty cool. But I'm wondering how this all actually works in the real world, not just the technical terms.
Right. And that's where the examples you sent come in. So take digital signatures, for instance.
Oh, yeah. Like when you have to sign a million things online now, like all those forms and contracts, tell me more.
Okay, so let's say you're signing a lease online for an apartment. So instead of like meeting up, you get this digital version of the document.
Which, let's be real, is way easier most of the
Well,
time.
exactly. And, instead of signing it with a pen, you use a digital signature. And that's made using, you guessed it, those cryptographic algorithms.
Right.
And so your like unique digital signature gets attached to the document and it proves it's you and that you agreed to everything.
So it's like an extra secure e-signature so they know I'm really the one who clicked agree on that, 40-page lease.
Exactly. And because that digital signature is connected to that specific document, any change you make to it after signing, well, it can be detected, which goes back to that proof of integrity thing we were talking about.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It's like, even if I tried to go back and say, wait, I didn't agree to that no pets clause, the digital signature's right there to say, yeah, you did.
Exactly.
What about email non-repudiation? That was something that stood out to me. I remember reading it. It's like super important for businesses.
Yeah, it's really important anytime you need proof that an email is real, like who it's from, and that the message hasn't been changed. So say there's a business deal and they're, sending emails back and forth. Non-repudiation can prove that an email really came from a certain person's account.
So no denying those late night increase my budget emails, huh?
Exactly. And it also proves that the actual email, like the content of it, hasn't been messed with since it was sent.
This is making me rethink all those late night emails I've sent. Okay, but you also mentioned blockchain transactions earlier. Now, that was always been a bit of a mystery to me, I have to admit. Our listeners specifically asked about Bitcoin and how it makes sure no one can deny that they sent money. Can you, like, break that down for me?
Of course. So blockchain is basically this huge digital ledger that's public. And every Bitcoin transaction, like all of them, get recorded on this ledger. But here's the really interesting part. So blockchain is decentralized. That means that, like, no one person or company controls it. Instead, there's copies of this ledger spread out over tons of computers.
So it's like having a million witnesses to every transaction so that it's, like, almost impossible to mess with.
Yeah, you got it. And that's what makes it so secure. And because every transaction is like linked cryptographically to the digital wallets of the sender and the receiver, non-repudiation is like built in.
So taking back that Bitcoin you accidentally sent to the wrong person.
Right.
Right. That's one way to learn your lesson. But, what's interesting to me is that all of these examples, like digital signatures and blockchain, they seem so different, but they're all doing the same thing, non-repudiation.
Right. Exactly. It's all about needing trust and knowing that people are accountable for what they do online. Whether we're talking about signing contracts or sending private emails or dealing with digital money.
It's like this hidden system that's always working in the background, making sure our digital lives actually work and that they're safe.
And that brings up a good question. Why should our listener, care about all of this? I mean, it might seem like it's just for the tech people to worry about, but that's not true at all.
Yeah, it's easy to get lost in all the details and miss the bigger picture.
Exactly. Think about how much you trust digital systems every single day.
Right.
We're talking about online shopping, banking, all the social media stuff, even just logging into your email.
It's true. We really do.
Yeah, and non-repudiation is like the foundation of that trust,
Yeah.
It gives us that confidence to shop online and know that our money is safe and that we can track everything. And it lets businesses like work together all over the world because they know these digital agreements are, they're solid.
It's like having that extra security, even if we don't see it happening.
Exactly. It's about like building trust in a world where things can be, I don't know, easily misinterpreted online. And speaking of trust, this is a good time to bring up those timestamps we were talking about.
Okay, timestamps. I'll be honest, I haven't thought about timestamps since, well, probably trying to figure out when I sent that last email. What do they have to do with all of this?
Timestamps are kind of like the unsung heroes of this whole thing, They prove when something happened, and that's really important evidence. So let's go back to that email example. A timestamp can show that, yeah, you sent that email at this exact time and that it wasn't changed after.
So if someone's trying to say, oh, no, I sent that message way earlier, the timestamp's there to be like, nope.
Exactly. They're super important for figuring out who's right, if there's a disagreement, and for proving that someone followed the rules, and even in court cases that involve digital stuff.
It's like having a digital notary for, well, everything we do online.
Yeah.
Now that we're talking about it, I'm starting to see non-repudiation everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like that saying, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. Like, we only really notice it when something's wrong, like if someone's lying about what they did or there's a problem with, like an online order or something.
That's a great point. It's that invisible thing that keeps everything running smoothly and makes sure everyone's being honest, especially with all the digital stuff we do these days.
Yeah. This has been really interesting. Non-repudiation, it seems technical at first,
Yeah.
but it all comes down to something we all understand. Trust.
Exactly. And as we do more and more online, it's only going to get more important to understand this stuff.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listener to remember?
I'd say the next time you click I agree or sign something online or even send a quick email, just remember that non-repudiation is there. It's working behind the scenes to make sure that all of our digital interactions are safe and fair and trustworthy.
I love it. Well put. And for our listener, we hope this deep dive into non-repudiation has given you a whole new way of looking at, well, the internet, basically. Until next time, stay curious.